Hey everybody, it's RJ, your host, and welcome to Hash It Out. In this episode, I'll be speaking with Kern Alexander of the Higher Collection about maintaining a balance between local cannabis producers and entrepreneurs and corporations such as Big Pharma entering the cannabis industry. We'll also discuss bridging the entertainment and cannabinoids industry gap, boosting opportunities for marginalized and minority entrepreneurs through redefining the norms of the industry, and more. Without further ado, let's hash it out. My guest today is the founder of the California-based cannabis company, The Higher Collection. Welcome to the show, Kern Alexander. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on your show, sir.
Yes, indeed, man. It's good to have you. I'm really excited to ask you about all you've got going on over at The Higher Collection and then going into some of the broader cannabis topics here in the nation. First and foremost, where are you joining us from today?
So I'm joining you guys from Houston, Texas. I recently just moved out to Texas. Although we still have our operation in California, we kind of wanted to come out here and see what the climate is out here in Texas. So testing the waters.
Yeah. You got to see what the vibe is out there. My brother-in-law and my sister just recently moved out to like the Dallas area. They're like an hour outside of Dallas. Yeah, they're loving it so far.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and having a conversation with me today. I really, really appreciate you taking the time, man.
For sure. I appreciate you guys giving me the invite, giving me the platform
Absolutely.
So, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So diving right in here for those who may not be familiar, the Higher Collection is based in, if I have this right, Oakland, California. If I get anything right, feel free to correct the record here. The Higher Collection is based in Oakland, California, and works in many cannabis categories, including seed to sale, integrating genetics, distribution services, cultivation, brand building, and delivery. So with that said, tell me more about when and how you started this company and more about what y'all specialize in.
Right. So, just let's start from the beginning. For me, this was a different venture. I'm coming from a military background. I'm a service veteran. So I got out of the military, and one of my buddies introduced me to the cannabis space, but it was more on the medicinal side. I started this company in 2015. So back then we were heavily on the medicinal side, less on the recreational side. So we started off just from teaming up with other veterans who had some of the same issues that I had, whether it was hard to sleep or PTSD. And instead of using the medicine that the VA would prescribe us, we went to a more holistic cannabis route. So with that, the state allowed us to do kind of like co-ops of medical patients who we could serve cannabis to. And we got our license back then. That's kind of like how we got started with our customer base and our whole operation. So it was more from a medicinal standpoint. That's kind of like where my passion came from. Was because the medicines that I was getting, it kind of had me feeling kind of crazy. I had hard mood swings, and it was still not fully getting me the help that I needed, especially when it came to sleep. My sleep patterns were really, really thrown off. So I literally sat down with a cannabis doctor, told them exactly the type of things that I had going on. And they prescribed me different strains of cannabis that could help me. So before then, I was almost, 13 years, I think 13 years in the Air Force. So essentially for me, it's been a long time since I've used any sort of anything. So coming out and being able to use that in a medicinal manner, it was beneficial to me. And I figured that I wanted to kind of like spread that word to others, and show that cannabis does have a good side to it as well. Because if you look at it media-wise, it's kind of portrayed in an evil light, but I've helped more people than I've hurt in this space, from cancer patients to fellow veterans to even myself, even getting myself in a better space.
Totally. That the stigma and the stereotypes of cannabis consumption, I feel like we've made strides in like sort of reshaping that image, but they still very much exist out there, and they're still very prevalent. You had mentioned a little bit about your own personal experience being in the armed services and experiencing therapeutic benefits from medical cannabis.
Yes.
As of the time that we're recording this, there is talk on the federal level by federal legislators to sort of streamline the research process regarding medical cannabis and specifically medical cannabis use for military veterans. So, my question then for you is, how do you currently view the state of medical cannabis when it comes to veterans and when it comes specifically to veteran accessibility and research? How would you sort of grade the state of it now, and where would you like it to see progress?
So in the two different sectors, so if I look at it from a governmental sector, I feel like the grade that they have on it is absolutely low to none, because this is something that they're now kind of being open to, being acceptable to. On the private sector within the cannabis space, I feel like we've been doing a pretty good job trying to push that message of the medicinal side. Although the recreational side, don't get me wrong, it has opened up a floodgate of people flooding to the industry. But it's nothing wrong with that, having both sides of it. I'm a strong component to the medicine side because I'm a patient as well,
Right.
So I look at it as a more therapeutic manner. I wish the federal government and the industry could kind of come together on a more better basis and build those facilities and build those places and build those programs. When I first got into space back in 2015, there was talk about a program for military veterans to receive vouchers, where you would receive vouchers that you could use in dispensaries for medicinal purposes. But, that talk fizzled down or died out. But in all of our dispensaries, because my delivery service and distribution, we're both. So we're medicinal and recreational. We did have to switch our model to the recreational side just because that wave was too strong. And you couldn't go against that wave, so you either get down or lay down. I mean,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
like how they say it. But for me, my priorities never really changed. On the medicinal side, we've still been trying to reach as many veterans as we can. We've still been trying to help as many cancer patients as we can because I'm a strong component for the medicinal side of the space. So I wish the two sides could merge. Back to your question, I wish the federal government and the industry side could merge, because if we could merge and work together, we could probably push the process along a lot faster. But then you got another side, which is Big Pharma, who, we got to have that conversation as well, because essentially we're taking a big majority of their patients away from them. And a lot of the things that they have in place are what you call addictive medicines. So essentially the medicine gets it to where you can't get off of it. Like you try, but you can't. So those components and things like that it's going to set up a good fight, but we here to fight. So
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And speaking of which, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's also a recent piece of news that broke that involves Pfizer getting into the cannabis industry. I think they purchased some cannabis firm, I think in San Diego or something like that, for a hefty price. And now they are sort of dabbling with their own introduction into the cannabis space. So far, I mean, we're all, of course, in our own little echo chambers in a certain way, at least when it comes to the media that we intake online. But a lot of the feedback that I've been seeing has been anywhere between just concern and fear to just vehemently opposed to this. So when you mention, the ideas of, or the thought of Big Pharma getting into the cannabis industry, how do you feel about that? Yes, no, yay, nay?
So the thing is what we have to do as business people is we have to take the feeling out of it, and we got to pedal to the metal, because there's no way to stop them. Big Pharma is huge. They have the money, they have the resources, so there's no way to stop them. So in situations like that, it's either you create your own customer base that you grab, or you figure out a way to work hand in hand with them. And it's going to be more of a work hand in hand situation, because what's going to happen is they have enough money to automate processes that take that. If it cost me $200 to grow a pound, Big Pharma will probably come in and grow a pound for $50 because of
Mm.
how much automation they already have in play. So it's going to make it tough to compete with them. And then they have the ability of purchasing mass areas. They have the lobbyists. It's like fighting the big machine. Sometimes it's tough to fight the big machine. Sometimes you got to work with the big machine and figure out how you can get yourself included because there's no stopping them. We're not at that level yet where we can just drop $100 million on a facility and just another $100 million on testing and another $100 million on, you know what I mean? They're at that
Right.
level. So when you fight that big of a beast, it's easier to not necessarily fight it, but figure out how we can integrate. And I feel like Big Pharma wouldn't mind integrate because at the end of the day, they still need our growers. They still need our customer base. They still need things from our industry. You can come in and automate a process, but that doesn't make the process good. They
Mm.
still need that good piece of it. They still need that good product, flavorful product, stuff that actually works. And that's where I could see the integration happening. But we got to do it sooner than later.
Totally, totally. Yeah, it's almost as if, sort of in line with the way that you described it. It's sort of like a storm is coming, and you can't push the storm away, right? Like the storm's coming. The
Right.
best you can do is prepare for the storm and hopefully collect some water, collect some rainwater along the
Right.
way, right? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right. I think
totally.
I think I think a lot of people look at the cannabis space too competitive. I feel like we
Mm.
have probably the biggest customer base, whether it's people who say they smoke or say they don't smoke, or the customer base is so huge that everybody could work together and satisfy the needs of the customer, and that's how we kind of prolong the business. We prolong the industry. When you have too many mega heads that come in and stifle the industry, it makes it tough. It makes it tough for other people to either even want to like come in and work with you because one thing we know about smokers is smokers know their product, and
Yeah.
unless you got the top of the top with you, ready to grow with you, ready to work with you, most people are kind of like push away that idea. So it could be, it could be a clash of the two.
Totally. Yeah, I've said it before on the show, and forgive the pun here, but I feel like the difference, there are a multitude of ways that the cannabis industry differentiates itself from other industries. And I think one of them is that of the consumer base. I think the cannabis industry consumer base more or less has the ability to eventually, and this is the pun, weed out like the bad actors from those who have the genuine intentions. Do you feel that way?
I do, because the one thing that I have noticed with the industry is it's very tight knit. From your customers to your growers to your distributors.
Right.
It's a pipeline like everything else in logistics. And we look at cannabis as marijuana, but it's a crop at the end of the day. It's the same as alfalfa. It's the same as wheat. It's the same as everything else. So
Sure.
if you keep it too long, it goes bad. You got to figure out ways to store it. You got to figure out ways to do so. You got to go back to the people where it matters, like the growers. That's step one. You got to have somebody who grows the process, grows it well. You got to have your distributors who have your stuff together. You got to have your labs that test. So it's a huge collaborative effort that goes a long way within the industry. And a lot of people within the industry are very loyal to um, their genetics, their brands, what they're
Oh,
putting
yeah.
out there. So, I do see it where it has to be some sort of negotiation, or it's going to be like a split, like a big battle. Because I feel like cannabis consumers are very loyal to that. Like they're very loyal to that plant.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Meanwhile, yeah, the cannabis plant the whole time is just like, I'm just here, y'all.
Right,
Like, I'm
right, right.
just,
I'm just blowing
I'm
the
just
wind.
growing, y'all. Yeah, if you need me, I'll be here. Like,
Come harvest me quick.
yeah, yeah, I'm going bad over here. Like, hurry up, hurry up. I'm getting sun dried out here.
Mhm.
Um, Certainly. Now going back to the Higher Collection, the Higher Collection's website also states that the company seeks to bridge the entertainment and cannabinoid industries gap. Now, this is something I'm interested to hear about. Tell me more about what the details of what that gap is and looks like specifically, and then what the company is actively doing to hopefully close that gap.
Right. So for us, what we're doing is we're looking at two different forces here. We're looking at like a marketing force from a marketing side of the pushing the message. For me, my biggest thing when I first came into this industry is to not lose myself within the industry. Like everybody has their own purpose within the space. My purpose is to pretty much find different ways on the medicinal side to help people who need the medicinal help, and then to push education and opportunity and the access on the recreational side. So, with that being said, the biggest voices you have are your entertainers. And a lot of times, when I look at the industry, there's not a lot of people that look like me in the industry. So, I use the people who look like me and have those big followings and those big influences to push that message. Right now we have a few things in play that we're working on. We're trying to show a seed to sale model attached to an artist. I won't drop any names because we still got things we got to do to make it, press go. But we want to show how that artist came into us, how they went in, they found the strain that they wanted, we grew it, we tested it, distributed it, trimmed it, processed it, packaged it, put it in the market, and we show the true cost, we show what it is, and we show how easy, and sometimes it may not be easy, but with some parts of it may be to some people. So, but we want to show that piece, and we want to show that it's accessible. Sometimes I feel like just the sheer thought of the space pushes people away because they feel like whether it's too expensive or it's too big of a dream, or I literally started $2,500 is what my license cost in 2015. Don't ask me what it costs now because it's way different now. But but in 2015, it cost me like $2,500 to get myself rolling within the space. So I want to show that there are ways to get into space, and that's why we try to bridge that gap, because we want to push opportunity. We want to push the fact that yes, in some places the bar to get in the industry is very high, but in some places the bar is very low, and you may want to use those places as your access point, build your brand there, and then push your brand to other places. So we're trying to show like there's ways to like get in this space and populate it, and leave your mark in it, and push out good stuff and different things like that. So that's really what we say. We want to bridge the gap. We want to push that positive message. We want to show that there's different ways that cannabis can be used in a positive light, and we want to bridge the gap of opportunity and show that it is accessible. It's a dream, but it's a dream that can come true.
Certainly. Yeah, I mean, the weed's always just sitting there, right? It's always like, I'm here for you if you need me. You know what I mean? Like, right. Yeah, the opportunities are endless.
We want to get people the weed is waiting. We want to get you to that weed so you can figure out there's so many different ways that you can win off that plant. So
yeah, endless possibilities. Yeah,
and in our own company too, we try to like employ. We try to do things to where we give people insight into the space. So like we're going to launch a few programs here in the future where we bring in veterans, or we bring in folks that are down in their luck, and need some help. We train them up on different things like trimming, processing flower, packaging flower, jobs that the industry is low on. We were low on manpower within those different type of fields. So we want to bring people in, train them up, and then, push them back into the industry so that we actually have a workforce that knows what they're doing.
Totally. Yeah. That's such a important, I feel, component to it all is, and you alluded to this just a few minutes ago, it's so important to have people around you and in the industry that look like you and are representative of the consumer base, Right. Cannabis touches the lives of all sorts of people, of every sort of people from every walk of life. And so it's, to me, paramount that the industry reflects that, right?
Yep. No, yeah. And that's absolute fact, because when I first started in this industry, I could be honest, I would go to these conferences and stuff in Vegas. I went to my first conference in like the ending of 2015 in Vegas for cannabis, and I could probably count on one hand how many owners look like me in that space. Mm-hmm. So, now I just came from the last cannabis conference that they had in Vegas, and now I'm starting to see more people that look like me. So, that's the objective. I compare the cannabis rush to bootlegging alcohol, to the different things that happened throughout time that folks condemn, but they condemned it just so that they could slow the process down, and everybody that they wanted to get in got in. That's why it was condemned. So the people who are willing to take that risk in the beginning, and you follow the rules like everybody else. There are rules in place. The people who were getting those licenses for the liquor back in the day, there were rules in place. They hit the rules though. They made it very difficult for people to get to, very, very difficult for people to understand. So now it's a new aging time, and we could see them doing the same things. And in Georgia, for instance, right? In Georgia, and I hate to go on a rant, but I feel like people need to understand that information is your biggest tool. In Georgia, they opened up the licensing for cannabis licensing to grow cannabis in Georgia from the 26th of December to the 29th of December. Like right around Christmas time, they opened it up. Nobody knew that it was open, and then they shut it before anybody could get into it. And they only had 6 licenses available. So if you don't know, you don't know, And then those 6 went to the 6 people who knew or who was told, look, I'm going to open this application at this time. Get in there, do what you got to do. And then, so we got to start doing that within ourselves. We got to start looking out for ourselves and pushing. It's enough work for everybody,
Certainly. Yeah. I've said it before on the show, but in the cannabis industry, the education doesn't stop. There remains to be so much to learn and so much to discover and figure out. And it's all opportunity to bring everyone up together. You know what I mean? You mentioned this, but there's room for everybody in the cannabis space. If you have those genuine intentions.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying plant-based and non-plant-based. So there's room on the plant side, and there's room if you just want to be a person who does accessories. Like if you just want to grinders or like lighters or rolling trays, packaging, marketing, HR. Like it's so many opportunities that aren't fully established within an industry that's coming, and it's coming big, it's coming fast, and it has so many eyes on it right now. Everybody. I feel like everybody wants to get in it, but a lot of people got to understand what they're getting into. It's not a get rich overnight type process. You put a lot of money, but you can make a lot of money as well.
There you go. Yeah. So speaking of that, and sort of helping people understand that there is a path to success in the cannabis industry, but it does come with certain potential pitfalls and certain risks there. We mentioned this earlier, but the Higher Collection is veteran and minority owned and female operated. You are the founder, and I believe Ayana Young is the CEO currently. Is that right?
Ayana Young, that's my
Yes, indeed. Shout out to Miss Young. Yes, indeed. Now, the company's site says that the Higher Collection seeks to, quote, redefine the norms of the industry and strive to boost diversity through the expansion of opportunities to minorities. Now, we discussed that a little bit already throughout our conversation, but in your view, what are the norms of the industry that are in need of redefining first, and what is the Higher Collection doing to then boost diversity and opportunities for those minority populations?
Well, so for me, like when I go to farms, and when I first started this, like I said, I was a one-man shop, so I was one-on-one. I was the one going to the farms looking for the product. I was the one talking to the distributors, trying to get it packaged. And it was all male facing. I've never went into a deal where I was selling 100 pounds to a female, or a female was writing me a check to purchase 100 pounds from me. And in my eyes, those are the type of things that I was trying to redefine, because I know some really dope female CEOs within the cannabis space, and some owners of some really dope brands. One of them is my homegirl out of Oakland, California as well. Her name is Mahalit, and her brand is called Believe in Dios. So with her, she essentially started a brand in Oakland. She's from the Bay, super dope. We went to college together. We didn't even know we were in the same industry until like we graduated college, and then we started like doing work. I was like, we walked down the same graduate aisle together. So it was cool. So for me, when I say redefining the space, it's like making sure that everybody has a space within the space. And for us, how we do it is I'm the operations person. I'm the person who can get on the ground and do the work. Miss Young, she's in the CEO role because that is her strong point. You know, running things, making sure the paperwork gets done right, making sure the deals are closed, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. You leave that up to me, and something's gonna get missed for sure. Something's gonna get missed for sure, for sure. So I want that to be the face of the industry. For me, I just started really doing interviews maybe like this year and last year. The whole time I love playing the background. You know, I love playing the background and allowing Miss Young to kind of like be that face and that focal point. And because I'm good at being a worker, you know, I'm good at making sure that like this gets done or this gets packaged up or this gets moved or this gets picked up. So you got to understand your role. You know, you got to understand your role within the company. And then I always say nobody's bigger than the business. You know, so essentially you keep your business first. You play your role. Everybody play their part, and then you have a successful business. So we bridge the gap by making sure that when you go into that room now and you want to buy 1,000 pounds, you're talking to Miss Young. You're not really talking to me about 1,000 pounds. You got to get past her for the approval. And I like that
Right.
because, you know, the just the different standards, the different questioning, the different mindsets. You always want that in a company to be a diverse company. So, yeah.
Certainly. I don't remember who said the quote, but a quote that I carry with me a lot is that, you know, it's important to realize the importance of being a specialist rather than a generalist. A generalist is great to be able to have your hands in very many things and to have, you know, sufficient knowledge in various aspects, but it's the specialists who really specialize in what they're doing and really dive into the specifics of what they're doing and really care about specifically what they're doing, that are really conducive to a team atmosphere, to have everyone specialize in their own aspect, in their own passions and whatever, and then come up that way.
Right.
So yeah, I love to hear that you have that that sort of specialist mentality
Right.
implemented
Yeah.
over at the Higher
I'm a
Collection.
firm believer of letting people do what they're good at.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm a
yeah, totally. Let people do what they're good at and get the hell out the way, man.
all out the way. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Totally, totally. Well, looking forward, then we are essentially in 2022.
Fact.
When this episode comes out, it'll be 2022.
Right.
So, man, what even was 2021? I mean, we made it through. I mean, I guess there's that.
2020 and
But
2021. I feel like those 2 years, those are probably the fastest 2 years of my life.
for real, dude.
My life.
It was like literally the blink of an eye is what it
Right.
feels like. 2021 went through. 2020 like doesn't even, it's a blip in my radar. Like I don't even know what that year was.
Thanos hit us with the snap.
Exactly. Thanos hit us with a snap. And then 2021 and we all show back up and we're like,
Everyone's
okay, we're all back, but nothing is better. Like all the buildings are still on fire. Like what the hell? But
Right.
looking forward then, man, what have y'all over at the Higher Collection got planned going into 2022 and then in the years ahead? What have you got looking forward to that you can share with me? You don't have to name drop anything here. I don't want to drop this mic here, but yeah.
No. It's no. So for us, going forward, so we just moved into a new space, way bigger space. We're on the Cookies campus now in Oakland, California.
Nice.
So you know that's a good space to be on. We get to see a lot of the different things that Cookies do as a brand and learn from them as well. So we're moving our distribution and delivery operation over there, and then we got way more space. So what we're trying to do now is just expand our reach and expand what we're doing in different states as well. So we just added on another piece where we got into the genetics side of the house. We merged with a genetics company. So now we're working the genetics and the grow angle, plus we have our distribution and our retail angle. So we kind of pretty much created our vertical just by doing our merger. And then shout out to my boys over at Burn Clean Genetics. That's who we pretty much did our merger with. And what they do is they bring us a different perspective in the industry as well, from a high end standpoint, indoor cultivation, outdoor cultivation, mixed light cultivation, but the best genetics that we can find. pushing them out there. And then we're doing on the medicinal side, we're searching for specific genetics to help specific things. Like I said, me as a combat vet, PTSD and trouble sleeping was my two major ailments. And I knew there was many people like me. So we're still trying to break through in those different realms and figure out that aspect of it. Plus, we got a lot of musical collabs, stuff that we're getting ready to drop in next year. So we have a few brands that we're dropping close to like the top of the year, depending on how quickly we can get the stuff done. So a lot to come, a lot to see. We're looking at trying to tap into other states as well. We're looking at that New York market. We're looking at those different markets that's cracking open right now. And just figuring out where we can go in. You know, my objective was never to like own the market. You know, my objective is to just go into the space, try to make a difference, try to make some good collaborations, and then leave the space better than we came into it at, you know?
Yeah, yes, indeed. You got to spread those roots, man. You got to help build the foundation to a sound industry here, which is great. I'm glad to hear that y'all are on that path, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Kern, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you sharing all this information and all this perspective, man. I'm really grateful for your time. Thank you.
Oh, man, thank you. Thank you. Like I said, I appreciate you for just having me. You know what I mean? Thank you for
Yes,
the
indeed.
platform. And
Of course.
look forward to it.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you ever got any names to drop or if you ever got anything else you'd like to hash out, man, feel free to reach out, dude. Would love to have you back.
All right. It sounds like a plan. I definitely will. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, no doubt, man. Be well and stay safe. Keep up all the good work over at the Higher Collection. We'll be certainly keeping an eye on all of that. And shout out to everyone at the Higher Collection team. Shout out to Miss Ayana Young, and shout out to yourself, Kern Alexander. Thank you so much, y'all, for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you. Kern Alexander, everybody. Thank y'all so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. That's it for Hash It Out, y'all. I'm your host, RJ Balde, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out. Hey, everybody. Thanks for checking out our channel. Click here to watch another episode of Hash It Out. To find more cannabis industry reporting, insider stories, and to stay up to date on the latest trends, make sure to subscribe and keep up with our TRICHOMES community app. Download it now for free, and we'll see you there.